You made it here another day. And you don't know how proud I am of you. You don't know how happy you've made your mother or your father or your sister or a brother or a friend or a god sister or a god brother or a grandmother. Somebody somewhere is excited that they get to talk to you another day. They get to see your smile another day. They get to hear your voice another day. And in most cases, just knowing that you can take a breath means so much to them. But I know that every day is not like that. I know that there are some days where it seems like no matter what you do, nothing can go the way that it's supposed to. I know that there are days when you think that you have come to a conclusion that this is as good as it gets, but it's not. I understand the battles in which you fight. I know that it's scary and frightening to do it all alone in your head and in your heart while hoping that somebody simply sees the fear behind your eyes. I understand the pain. So if you're somebody who is sitting up there thinking of harming yourself or harming others, please take 1 second to just simply reach out and get help. Contact anyone. Start off with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline with 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. Your life matters. There is so much value in you being here. What you bring to this thing called life is unmeasurable. If for some reason you are feeling that way, get help. You can contact the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and if that is not the route that you're prepared to go to, or you know that you need the help, then reach out to BetterHelp. I don't get any type of promotion or anything from this, but this is something that I've used myself. Just simply learning how to deal with the grief of loss. And I can tell you right now that they will make it as convenient as possible for you. Whether it be that you talk to this person via text message, whether it be that you talk to this person via virtual or phone or in person, you have options. But before you make a decision that others have to live with, make one that everyone can live with. I will make myself available to you. All I need is a simple message of we need to talk. And I will be present, going every step of the way with you. So please, make a decision that we can live with and that we can live with you. What's going on, Pride Nation, and welcome back to another Field Review podcast show where we talk all things Detroit Lions football. Shout out to my Man Hour family, my Man Hour viewers, and my Pride Nation people. Now, if y'all don't know what's going on here, I am now also in the mix of the Man Hour, where we are building something that allows for you to get your content creators. You're going to see me talking to other content creators about the NFC North and other different types of like the other people in football that we play. So expect to see some things from this that's different. So shout out to them. Make sure you go over to Man Hour and give them a like, subscribe, and hit that bell for them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm too excited. They tried to get me today, y'all. They tried to get me. They said, hey, you got to stay over, Luke. And I'm like, for what? And they hit me with this whole grand tale of the FMLA. To you people who have FMLA because you just don't want to show up to work, I'm praying for you, okay? People, let's see who's in the building with me today because I'm in a very good mood. My man Anthony came back to rock with the people. What's going on, Anthony?
Hey, Luke. Thanks for having me on again. This is one of my favorite parts of the week, coming on to be able to chat with you and all the guys in the chat here. So, yeah, I very much appreciate it.
Hey, listen, I got so many messages about you. They said, hell, who in the hell pissed off Anthony? I said, you know what? I think it was just pent up. It was pent up. That's all it was. Sometimes you got to release and let go. So I was excited to have you on yesterday, and I'm excited to have you today. Let's see who's in the building with me today. I see my man's Lions Rumbles in the building. That's my other co-host. Hopefully he jump in if he got time. If he don't, I understand. You got my man Friendly, neighborhood Lions fan. My man Gino was in the building. Forbidden Knowledge, 1991. Matt Stagg, Dr. Paparoni in his mud. We got my man Dan Spanos, Lions Leads in there. Hatter House 710. Dr. Detroit. Make sure I ain't forgetting nobody. Make sure I ain't getting. You heard the man. You hit that like button if you like pissing in a Packers helmet. Hit the like button. All right. Let's see. We got my man Joseph Osteen. We got my man Paul Jaros in the building. Chris Wallace has joined us. Craig Bevins has joined us. And make sure I ain't missed nobody. Are we going off the rails on the crazy train today? Well, in all the good words of anybody who's inspiring, choo choo, I just may do it. I'm feeling pretty damn good today. And I'm not going to be apologetic about pointing out things that we should be viewing in a different light. So yes, it could be that day. We also have my man Ghost Gunner who showed up in the building. Obviously, Anthony is multitasking in the chat too and talking. I don't know how the hell he's doing all that, but I ain't mad at him. People, listen, we are getting this thing kicked off. I saw some stuff this morning that I thought, one, was absolutely hilarious, and two, I thought, why not have some fun with it? I did. I figure if you're going to do something, do it big and have fun with it. I don't know if y'all heard this or not, right? And Anthony didn't get the questions. I didn't have enough time to send it to him. Don't y'all dare judge me, but I'm going to show you how professional this man is. Watch this. Anthony, did you happen to see that Adrian Peterson is set to box Le'Veon Bell? Did you see that news?
I did, yes. It's
okay.
Weirdly big news over here.
Okay. What? What do you mean big news? What do you mean?
I mean, well, you've got all this, you have all the celebrity boxing stuff at the minute, the athletes are doing it now, but it's been all the YouTubers and that who've been doing it, and it has sort of like a weird cult following over here. So, especially when NFL's players start to do it amongst the NFL community, because we know a lot of NFL guys over here, it spreads quick. So I know there's been a lot of chatter about this.
But this got me to thinking, right? If you're going to just do boxing matches, it got me to thinking. The Detroit Lions has a roster full of people, and it got me to thinking. If there were two Detroit Lions that you wanted to see in a boxing match, who would it be and why? See, this is funny to me because I can tell you exactly why I want to see it, and I can tell you exactly why I think this would be amazing. Adrian Peterson won't win. That's not his kids he's smacking around. No. No, Doc, no. No, Coach, what is wrong with you? All right, good people. Start with you, my man, Anthony. I mean, I can't with this, boy. We just started and we already out here. All right, Anthony. Two Lions. Don't care who they are. I got a follow-up question after this, but don't care who they are. Who are the two Lions you want to see duke it out in the boxing ring?
Oh, facing off against one another.
Yeah. Put them boxing gloves on. I know exactly the two I want to see, and it's for reasons that I don't think people would believe. It's oddly enough, I think it would be a good boxing match. If you want me to go first, I'll go first.
No, you know what? I'll take Frank Ragnow versus Aleem McNeil. That is a battle of two heavyweight.
It's definitely gonna be a heavyweight
trenchmen. I think who would, Aleem's probably one of the biggest guys on this team, and Frank, there is absolutely no way I want to mess with him. I think that could be blockbuster Aleem and Frank.
Okay, I mean, this is how I look at it, right? I've been thinking about this. I want to try to keep them in the same vicinity of a weight class. Okay. I want to see Jamal Williams and Derek Barnes box it out. Oh. I want to see it. I think Jamal Williams would be putting on his best Floyd Mayweather trash talking. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see it for the entertainment purposes of a guy who's a little bit more soft-spoken and Derek Barnes and the guy who doesn't have a problem saying a damn thing. I want to see the tale of two tapes. I want to see how they come in and get it done. I want to see some things thrown. And I think in terms of the weight, they're pretty close in terms of height and weight measurements. I think that would be a phenomenal boxing match. Now, it says MCDC against any other head coach. Which brings me to this next question. If you had to pick one Lions player to represent the Detroit Lions in a boxing match against one fighter from each team in the NFC North, who are you taking?
Ooh.
I know.
That's a tough one.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna be biased as hell with this. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm like right now, I want Michael Brockers to be the representative. This is who I want. I feel like let Michael Brockers be the representative. I'm trying to be some bully on this one. In the Minnesota Vikings, I want to see him just punch Devin Cook. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of him. Just punch him for me. I'm not asking you to kill him, but just hit him in the face so he can know that, hey, we're sick of you. On the Packers, again, I am biased. I want somebody who I think has been in the fight and is not afraid to go all in. Right?
I'll be back to you, Ari.
Well, it definitely it definitely won't. But I would prefer Michael Brockers again to punch Aaron Rodgers. I know it's not fair. Aaron Rodgers is not the same size. I don't care. This is about just letting it be known that I want this to happen. Sewell versus Hutchinson. Ooh, Jared, that might be a good one.
I think, though, in any case, every single Lions fan out there would like to see Aaron Rodgers, suffer at the end of a boxing match. If you see any quarterback, the Lions sack any quarterback in the NFL, everyone will pick Aaron Rodgers. If you have one quarterback you could see sacked repeatedly, it would be him.
Hey, I can't get mad at it. I can't, but I think you're right, and it's one of the reasons why I'm in agreement. I just want to see him get punched. What's going on, Go Lions? Shout out to the homie.
At the risk of starting it again, though, when you first said your first two and you went Jamal Williams, I thought, oh God, he's going to say Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift to see who gets the starting running back.
I was going to say that at first, but you know why I didn't go that route? Because I don't want to drive home that dead horse. I just think the dead horse has already arrived. Y'all just got to, at some point, come to the conclusion that it's dead and it stinks and it needs to change. But I also was starting to lean towards having it be where it ends up being whoever, Amani or Warrior, anybody, whoever could just go ahead and put Okudah out of his misery, he was going to be my next guest. So, I want to keep it 100 with the people. I want to make sure that the people get the hell on what they want. I do like the Hutchinson versus Sewell, though. That one would be a very good one. When it comes to the Bears, the guy that I want to see get punched, and it's again, I just think he'll be a good fighter, is Roquan Smith. I feel like Roquan Smith, and I would have to get somebody with a little bit more agile ability to him. But just because I'm hoping that Roquan Smith can knock this person out, thus requiring us to trade or do something to get a real linebacker, and that is one Alex Anzalone. All the money I would pay to see that knockout. I mean, just to get it in a way that I don't have to see Alex Anzalone would be happy for me. I would be ecstatic. Boyles versus Hutchinson. God, you're trying. Wouldn't have to have Boyles talk ever again. That's a good point, Nine Drinks. I'm not mad at that one. I forgot about poor Boyles. Boyles need to be put out of his misery as well. But shout out to you, sir. Shout out to my man Hatter House 7110. Shout out to my man Crone in the building. I knew this was coming. Why y'all? Why you wanna? Why? Listen. Me and Ketchup don't get along. So if Ketchup want to bang with me, let it be done. So let it be written. So shall it be done. Right? If that's how we get it in, why? I knew this was coming, but I wanted to start it off on a light note with that question because I thought Adrian Peterson, Le'Veon Bell are boxing. Oh my God! What the hell is going on with that? So.
I don't see Le'Veon Bell standing much of a chance in that, but just me. I
mean, if you if you listen to the doc, he's gonna tell you something. Oh, okay. All right, I'm a bone crusher. He says Jamal Williams versus the Vikings running backs. I don't know. I mean, are they in the same weight class technically? Yeah, they probably would be. Devin Cook, I know Madison got to be in the same weight class. There's no way he's no. That'd be a good fight. I would love to see that. Catch Up versus Miracle Whip. That's not a competition. Team Miracle Whip over here, baby. What you mean? What you think this is?
I tell you what, AJ Dillon would be a good one for it. See the side of his legs, man. Geez, he probably box Brock's pretty good. He's quite ripped.
Hey, I think this is me. If I'm putting out my early predictions on who winning that match, if they took it both serious, I think Adrian Peterson would beat the brakes off Le'Veon Bell. If they took it serious. I think you look at Adrian Peterson and what he has done at the most of his injuries and how he trains, I think it would be really a monstrous.
If you're a running back who's seen your entire career go through in the NFL, like it would be like Gore. Gore is just made of cast iron metal. I would not bet against him with many people.
Right. Gnomes JX says Sue versus Sue. Oh, that's bad violence right there. One, I feel like Dominic and Sue, if you said a wrestling match and Dominic and Sue, great. A boxing match, I think they both gonna be gassed in a way, but I also think Sue is probably gonna pull the Mike Tyson and bite the ear off if he don't stump him out first. Yes, I threw that joke in there. Damn it, it's a good joke. Okay.
you could do Sewell versus Donald too from last year. They were nearly throwing hands last year.
I mean, exactly. You might as well. I mean, he wanted him to know. Look, I ain't no chump. Lucky Belafonte. DeAndre Swift versus Saquon Barkley. Ooh. I feel like that's not fair. I feel like Saquon Barkley is built weird. And so, having him fight that mutant without giving him some type of advantage is not cool. That's just me. Now, let's get into the real football. I had fun with that. I just thought, what the hell? Why the hell not? All right. So I got a host of messages between yesterday's video and this morning. And I got to tell y'all find a way to every time to pull me out my damn square. Y'all really do. Y'all find ways to just get me upset, okay? I literally counted 15 messages about why there was no mention of Jeff Okudah and why you don't think Jeff Okudah's having this comeback and all this other stuff. Then I see an article talking about fans believe Jeff Okudah will have the biggest bounce back year. Anthony, I'm gonna let you go on this first. I feel a rant coming on. I'm trying to fight the power. It is just not working today. Why do you think fans believe that he has the biggest chance to bounce back?
I think one of the reasons why is because, people like him as a person. I think it's, you really root for the guy. I mean, obviously you root for any guy who's in a Lions uniform. You want them to do well, but you see the adversity he's been through. He was made to play injured his first year, just like John Pennicini was. He got put in a very tough spot. He wasn't healthy. They ground him right down. And, I didn't get him off to the best of starts. The fans start talking a little bit. Then last year, you have that one play that gets blown up by the national media. And, it wasn't even a bad play on his part. It was good reception on there. And, it feels like this bandwagon has built against him. There's been a lot of negativity, a lot of hate in that direction. And a lot of it is, not his fault now. There are some bits on him as well, but, after all that he's been through, after all the injuries, after all the troubles with the coaches and that, I think people just really want to believe that he's going to be able to get out his funk, come in this year, stay healthy is the most important thing, start producing on the pitch and become the player that we thought we were investing in. But I think a lot of that is down to the player himself, because I'm the same. I've been watching him through his recovery. I've been seeing a lot of the negativity towards him, and I'm just like, you know what, man, I just want him to succeed so badly. And I think that's where a root cause of it comes from.
Now, I think what you just said is my problem, because I think that these fan base believe that because one, he was the third overall pick. He was somebody that people had such high hopes for. And I think it's because of that high hopes that these people are sitting up here praying that he is who they think he is, because they don't want to believe what they see. There are some people who have an inherent need to be right about this guy. And the reality is this. I am rooting like hell that he can become what people thought. I, on the other hand, did not think he was even worthy of a top 10 pick that year. All right. I, on the other hand, felt that he was not going to live up to the hype because he would be better suited as a safety. And I said that from the get-go. And I also felt that we had a better option with that pick with Isaiah Simmons. Somebody who could be playing strong safety for us right now, along with people like Tracy Walker. I digress. But what's pissing me off is the fact that people act as if though a guy who played with poor technique is all of a sudden now technique sound after an Achilles injury. Why? Why are you doing this? If it's not Okudah, it's freaking Malcolm Rodriguez. Why are y'all doing this to me? All I do is love you, and you insist on bombarding me with these ridiculous takes in terms of just trying to say he's going to be this. He has been down so bad that anything he do good is considered up. There's nothing that he can do different to change his fortunes other than to go up. He can't get no worse. It's not possible. It's not. And at that point, I don't understand why they think he's going to have the biggest bounce back when there are so many other candidates that can have a bigger bounce back, starting with the rookie wide receiver, Jameson Williams, starting with people like Levi Onwuzurike, who's only been in the league 1 year and hasn't truly got a shot to get going. But of all the people that y'all wanted to vote on, y'all picked the one guy because we took him third overall. He's not the guy. And at some point, you have to just man or woman or bucket up to say he's not that. He's not it. That's not what we get.
No, I agree. You bring up a lot of sound points, in regards to maybe he's been drafted a little too high. There were other options there, and what's happened has happened. But again, I think at this point it is one bad season injured, and it is a multitude of snaps last year. I think there needs to be a balance here. There needs to be a realization that yes, he's not been as good as he can be, but I think there also needs to be an acceptance that he's had a really hard hand played against him as well. Now, is he going to get better? I mean, he's in the best possible chance to succeed this year. If you're looking at, putting a player in the best possible opportunity to succeed, he is in that because he's got two defensive back coaches, as Rumble's pointed out in the chat, with Aaron Glenn and Aubrey Pleasant. He's not going to find a better coaching staff to be able to train him, to be able to try and work on some of these errors, these mistakes, to try and get him healthy and playing all the time. If anyone is going to benefit from the situation, and it could possibly be him. I'm not saying it will be, but I think, that's the rationale that a lot of people are using, that he might be the bounce back player. The coaching is there. Hopefully his health, is back to 100% as close as it can be. And the fact is now that, when he was here, he was an automatic starter. We drafted him number 3, but there's a lot of competition in that cornerback room now. And I know that there's probably going to be no, threat to his position on the 53 here, but I think he's going to have to work damn hard to get on this team. I mean, I'm on record as saying that he shouldn't start next year. If all the guys are healthy, he shouldn't start. I've seen guys like, Jerry Jacobs came in last year, played well. Iffy came in, played really well last year, apart from his injury, but showed terrific development. These guys have come in and performed for us and should have the starting spots there, and Okudah should earn it back. But again, he's going to be in a situation where he's got to work his damn hardest to get on the team. Whereas when he came here, there was no competition for him whatsoever. So, just the fact that he's got that challenge in there, it's a loaded cornerback room with a lot of potential. You've got the coaches in there with him. If the situation sits right, then, there is a possibility that he could do really well this year in the right scheme, in the right circumstances. I'm not saying he will. I'm just trying to sort of explain the rationale as to why people might believe that. And, of course they hope for it. You hope that all your players perform really well. I want all our draft picks to perform really well. It's not going to happen, but, you do have that bit of inherent bias in there, wanting them to succeed as well.
I'm with you. I want to see our people succeed at every freaking turn, right? Like, I'm rooting for them to succeed, and that's just the reality of it. But at the end of the day, you can't say a guy who's just been is a bounce back. Anything he do is a bounce back. I don't care what he do. The fact that he plays is a bounce back. If he lines up and get torched, well, damn it, he was out there running. He bounced back. But so, what is considered a bounce back year? He's not making a Pro Bowl, or he's not going to change your mind about if you should extend him or anything. None of that's going to happen. So what is a bounce back year? Is my overall view.
I would kind of rephrase it as most improved player.
Which won't be hard. Which won't be hard.
Well, no, I mean, it will, because you think the amount of guys who are coming in this year who've got injuries and that, Jameson's injured, Levi's been injured, Romeo's been injured. Hell, you could even use Ragnar. He's been injured. TJ is in line for a most improved player, probably aspect that, there are a lot of players in this team who have a point to prove and who could potentially prove a really big point this year. There's a lot of competition for it. So I don't think it would be cut and dusted as in Jeff having 16 games and getting bounce back player of the year. I think there's a lot of players who've got a legitimate shout in there. I think, for my part, Jeff does have to play really well this year. This is year 3. And, you can't be going into next year with more doubts than certainties about him. There has to come a point where anyone, is expendable on the roster if there's too many questions, because, you can't afford to wait on them. So he does need to have a really good year. He needs to be healthy. He needs to play well. But, let's give him the opportunity to do that. As I say, he's got a lot of competition to get into the team. And if he's able to beat out the competition, if he's able to play well, then, hey, great for us. If not, you go looking again.
It makes me nervous. Friendly Neighborhood Lion fan says, do you think 6 wins is good enough for Sheila Hamp to want to keep Dan? It ain't good enough for me to want to keep Dan. Six wins.
No,
but I think she'll keep him if he gets 6 wins. But for me, it's not good enough. If he gets 6 wins, that means in 2 years he's got 9 wins. He would have essentially tied the record of Matt Patricia.
See, I think a lot of it will depend. I don't think the win category would necessarily be, the prevalent thing here. I think that it's the style of play, how if you've gone 6 and 11 during the season now, and you've been competitive 17 weeks and you've played hard and you've, maybe won a big game or something, it'll be enough for Sheila. But they win 6 games and they're still playing really poorly. I don't know. She fired Matt Patricia very quickly when he didn't deliver. So, she's got precedent for not tolerating a long stay for these guys if they're not performing. So I think it all depends on the circumstances with it. But I'm with you, Luke. We discussed this yesterday. Six wins is not enough this year, given the schedule, given where we're at, given what we did last year with an even worse team. We need to be aiming higher than that, and we need to be getting higher than that.
Yeah, shout out to No One. I mean, No None. He said on the positive side, Stafford finally got himself a well-deserved ring. I mean, what can you say? 6 wins without any blowout losses, and he won't lose his job. Well, okay. Again, we might as well have Cat Patricia if we're looking for 6 wins next season. That I agree. Shout out to my man JT Sports, man. If you ain't seen JT Sports channel, please check it out. The dude is over there getting it in. And his TikTok, he having way too much damn fun to be. I mean, not TikTok, Instagram. He be having way. Is that TikTok? I don't know how he posting all that stuff. I see all them videos. I see it on IG. So he says, Boyce back year. He was he was assets last year and was good this year. All right. No less than 8 wins. I'm waiting for Forbidden Knowledge. Yeah, you gotta have some wins, man. I just at this point we cannot do it. Okudah playing all 17 games is the only bounce back for him. That is.
It depends on your definition. For me, him just playing 17 games is not a bounce back. You have to see him play really well on the field. You have to see him put the doubt, have to show the doubters that the issues they have with him are incorrect, or he's at least fixed what people have an issue with. I know Dr. Detroit said it in the comments, you can't fix speed and stuff like that. But, if, a guy with his brain, you don't need speed necessarily. If you position yourself well, if you're reading the plays well, etc., you can get away with that. So he has to prove that he's learning from his mistakes, really, that are on tape. All 17 games ain't a bounce back year.
I mean, the chat is killing his ass. They like he buying tickets to take his family. Bone Crusher says, convince me on the field. He can't be the bottom of the cornerbacks this year. Top 20 or 10s is cool. I don't see it. If he, it has to be Jeff third overall pick. The pick is the pick, but won't see it too. So won't see to move forward is not B Holmes' pick, but hoping as a Lion fan he does better. He has to. JT.
I think this is the big thing, but if theoretically we're looking in hindsight in 12 months' time and Jeffrey Okudah has played 17 games and had a really, really good season and proven all the doubters wrong, what that does for this team then, especially if Amani plays well this year and continues going on, you all of a sudden have a very solid base at corner. And, your build is that much closer to being finished and you're that much closer to competing if he's healthy and playing well. I think that's a big thing, especially from your first round picks. You expect, them to come in and be a pivotal piece, and you hate to think that you're going to miss out on one. Obviously, you're not going to land on them all, but again, I think this is sort of a part of what's driving people forward. That this cornerback room, the guys we've got here could be the future of it if they develop right, and I think people are just really badly hoping for that.
Lions Rumble says Patricia got 3 seasons, and it was one too many. Frankly, it was one too many.
So Sheila wasn't in charge for the 3 seasons, was she? So it's kind of Dan's her first test in terms of how she's going to of what she's going to tolerate and what she's not going to tolerate. So he's going to be the marker for everyone else who comes afterwards. Because Matt Patricia, she said, if we're not playing meaningful football in November, your ass is out, or December. And the second we got blown out by the Texans in that horrible game, I think it was around Thanksgiving, his ass was gone. She didn't wait. She did it right away. So, she's shown that she will fire the trigger at the earliest possible opportunity if she feels that it's necessary. So, Patricia getting 3 years doesn't mean much here because she wasn't here for his entire tenure.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just one of the things where I feel like that was way too long. JT Sports says 6 wins is not bad. At least that shows improvement. Matt Patricia regressed every year pretty much. 6 wins is not an improvement. It's not with this schedule. It's not an improvement. If it was any other schedule but this, I could say, you know what, 6 wins might be an improvement. But 6 wins don't even get you don't even do nothing for you in a draft position. You're not even going to be in position to really do much. You're going to have to end up trading the farm to even move up to do anything. 6 wins to me, I don't want. It doesn't help your culture. It doesn't help the future free agents, your current free agents. I can't do the 6 wins.
Well, put it this way, as I said again yesterday, we were 3 field goals away from 6 wins last year with a team that everyone in the NFL was saying was trash in terms of, our experience, the players that we had in there. I mean, don't forget, we went, we started off 0-9-1. We started off terribly. That's the sort of team we had. And yet, at the end of the season, 3 players away from 6 wins. You've got to take it into perspective here. They're all bedded in and settled now. They were experienced. The rookies have a year's experience there. We've got better rookies in the draft now. We've got rid of a lot of the trash. The cap situation's better. We are in a much better situation than we were this 12 months ago. I mean, I think going into the start of the season, we were always on a road to a hiding. This year, our quarterback's confident. The team's better. They're playing well. They're confident because they were winning games last year. I think you have to take that into account and go, look, yeah, we've got to be aiming a bit higher than that.
Now, and I'm not mad at it. Zayqua, I hope I said that right. Zayqua says, who will have the most receiving yards next year? I think he's talking about this year. Honestly, I think this year and next year is going to be either St. Brown or it's going to be one of those slot guys, or it's going to be a combination between a slot guy and the tight end. I think that the purpose of having those guys out wide is to literally make everybody say, you know what, we can stretch the field. Who do you think is going to have the most receiving yards, Anthony?
You know what? Here, I think Chark is a dark horse. Because if you think of some of the, the yardage situations he's put up in Jacksonville and, obviously pre-Trevor Lawrence been there, he's got a lot of production from some very shoddy quarterbacks. And here he's coming into a team where we've got a lot of interior threats on the field. Teams are going to be watching Amon-Ra. TJ's not going to have the pressure on him this year that he had because he was basically wide receiver 1 last year. You've got him in the slot as well. When JMO comes back, everyone's going to be watching JMO, not DJ, because they're scared. Right. They're scared, terrified of JMO's pace. So I think with all this in the play, I think Chark will get a lot of yardage. If he can develop a rapport with Goff early, especially given that he's a bit of a deeper threat down the field as well. I think you'll see Chark really come here and put up some good yardage. I think teams are going to be very aware about Amon-Ra now. After the last half of that year, there's going to be a lot of linebackers coming up. There's going to be a lot of secondaries being brought up a little to watch him. So I think that might sort of hinder his production a little bit. Not that he's not going to be as good, but the offense is that varied this year that a lot more people are going to get opportunities. We've got a lot more variation in the attack this year, a lot more threats than we had last year. So I think it's going to get spread out a little bit more evenly.
Leave it to Micro Mike, man. You keep the hype train going for Malcolm Rodriguez. He says just make Malcolm Rodriguez the starting quarterback on offense and defense. Yeah, I know. Shout out to Mark. I love the high expectations. I want a Super Bowl or clean house.
He's going to have a clean house come. His wife's going to be happy.
I know.
He's got a clean house at the end of the year.
Paul Giroux says Okudah won't play 17 games if he doesn't do well. I agree. Chrome says Rodriguez is the GOAT. Laughing out loud, if you thought I was having fun, wait until Watson gets suspended. I think the Watson situation is a bunch of BS. I don't know how they come up with these damn suspensions. He's never convicted of anything, and you're just going to suspend him based on what? Hearsay. And he settled. He was told to by a legal counsel just to get it over with because that's what they want, right? So I don't think it's fair for him to get suspended. That's just me. My man DeAndre Baker says if Jeff Okudah is underperforming early this season, I can see him getting benched for Jerry Jacobs pretty quick. Your boy Jacobs was developing well before the injury. True. Michael Mike is still in his bag of tricks. Malcolm Rodriguez just started at cornerback. That's what we're going to start doing. The great Malcolm Rodriguez, let's talk about where he should be. Anytime I put in the chat, tell me where he's going to be. I want y'all to tell me Malcolm Rodriguez is going to do what? Like he's the most interesting man.
Mike is single-handedly going to vote him into the Pro Bowl this year.
Dude.
He is. Mike for getting Malcolm into the Pro Bowl.
I mean, I get it. Marcus says, I got 6 wins and a possible. Yeah, I can literally give you 6 wins just off the... Damn it, Mike is on the road. Malcolm Rodriguez will have the most receiving yards. I mean, Mr. Do-It-All can't get it wrong. 6 wins means you won 3 more games than last season. Nothing else. 9 wins and a playoff appearance is improvement. That's improvement. Chark. Oh my God, y'all sleeping on Chark. Or Shark, or how you pronounce this damn it. But listen, let's get this out of the way. I'm sleeping on him, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm sleeping on him because he's on a prove-it deal, right? So he's going to play through injuries and everything, right? But you look at the Lions receiving core as it stands right now. You don't have a quarterback that can just dot people up down the field on deep passes. And they're going to try to feature the rookie when he's healthy. Now, if the rookie don't play, you're right. People should really look into it. But I don't think overall that people are sleeping on him. I think overall people are just looking at it and saying, you know what? He's not even the main primary target. He's supposed to be able to lift the defense. And we're going to work everything on the inside. I think that's what you see. So,
I mean, yes, well, I think Goff can make the throws. I mean, if you think back to the start of last year, look at the throws he was making to Quintez. Him and Quintez formed... if him and Quintez formed a relationship so quickly, and there were a lot of deep passes in there, I can see sort of Chark getting that role this year. And don't forget, wide receivers are a highly competitive room this year. They're really going to have to prove themselves to get on that team. So they say Quintez is coming back from injury. JMO will be coming back from injury eventually. Amon-Ra's as hot as they come at the minute in terms of form. And then you've got a lot of guys on the periphery. You're not even starting talking about Reynolds, Raymond, Johnson, Pimpleton's in there. You've got a lot of competition. So I think it's going to drive better performances out of a lot of the players, including Chark. Because when Williams is fit, Chark's going to come in as the deep threat, which is sort of what Chark is in this team. So if JMo's not going to be here for week 6, 7, or 8 or whatever, Chark's going to have a short window to get in here and solidify himself as a big threat for Goff. So I think you could see a lot of him very quickly because of that.
Let me get back into the questions. I wanted to make sure I addressed the chat. It says, I'm sleeping on everyone who had to have major surgery in the past 12 months. That's fair.
That's
fair.
Half our team.
I mean, that's fair. Luke Gardner-Minshew had one of the weakest arms in the league, and Chark went to the Pro Bowl with him. So, and I don't think Gardner-Minshew arm is weak. I like Gardner-Minshew. In fact, I wish the Lions would have traded for him. Shit, beat the hell out of Tim Boyle and David Blau.
That was kind of my point, though. Is like he's not had elite quarterback play, so he's not going to be in a situation where he's coming here and he's expecting, accurate passes, 100% accurate all the time. He's had to deal with a lot with this. So Goff isn't really going to be a step down for him. If anything, Goff may be one of the better quarterbacks that he's played with over his time, which could work for us as well.
What Mr. Marcus, what? Big B will win the punter return position. Book it. Deshaun Elliott would be one of the Lions' best players on defense. Yeah, I'll take that bet. ASAP.
See, I don't. This is one that confuses me. You know me, I'm the very positive guy, but Deshaun Elliott's getting more hype than Rodriguez is. And
I'm not saying it, though.
I don't see that at the minute. I mean, obviously, I hope he does, but it's like bored. A lot of special teams and bits in there, but as a regular every week starter, which is what we need them to be, there's no track record of it. So I'm skeptical. Obviously, I want them to do really well, but
right,
Deshaun Elliott, I'm skeptical about at the minute.
Let me get back into the questions. So again, these are all things that come up as I talk to other Pride Nation members. And go Lions. Did you just say you agree? What is wrong? What is wrong? I ain't mad at you though. This question comes from me having a conversation, and so somebody was upset with what me and you said about the 10 sacks thing, and was talking about the team as a whole. And then I saw an article got dropped on it, so I feel like the universe was telling me to do it. So I was like, okay, cool. But the question is this: what should be a realistic, fair expectation for the Lions D-line sack total, and pressure total? What should be a fair, realistic numbers? Now, in case you didn't know, let me just tell you, they had 30 sacks, which was basically them 30th in the rankings in terms of sacks, and they had 124 pressures. Okay, so yeah, right. What is a realistic number?
I mean, it's very difficult to sort of quantify that because you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, for me, what was the top sacks thing last year? I mean, what we're talking about in the 50s,
Pittsburgh,
something like that, maybe.
Pittsburgh still has 55.
I mean, for me this year, I want to see more pressure on the quarterback. It doesn't necessarily have to be sacks, but the defensive line needs to start putting us in a position to win games. It's been a very long time since, our defensive line has helped us win games. We've done it more through the offense and Stafford, who won us a lot of games. So, I mean, I would expect the sack count to go up a lot. I would expect the pressure count to go up highly because, I mean, Romeo Okudah was injured week 4 last year. I think he got 16, 17 pressures through those first few weeks. He was like second on our pressure chart for like most of the season. That's how few pressures we were getting on, full stop. Apart from Charles Harris, no one else really did a great deal. So I would expect to see him go up exponentially a lot. I would expect the sacks to go up more. I'd expect the pressure. I won't put numbers on them, but I want to see vast improvements from what we've had before. Because, I mean, if you look at the makeup of this defensive line, what we've got on there, when people are healthy back for the season, Romeo Okudah, you're paying a lot of money to. Charles Harris, you've just given a reasonably good deal to this year. Michael Brockers, you're paying nearly $10 million towards. And then your draft acquisitions in there. Aleem McNeil is a second-year guy. 3rd round last year. Levi's 2nd round guy, 2nd year. I know he's not played a lot. You got Pascal, who's 2nd round this year in there. There's a lot of investment into this team. So, you want to, obviously it's not all going to come together right away, but I want to see improvement. I want to see, the investment in this line pay off. I want to see a lot more visible pressure on a quarterback. I want to see a quarterback struggle. I don't want to see guys in the pocket playing RPO passes all the time against us, which just kill us and, just rip us to shreds down the pitch. I just want to see a lot of visible pressures on the field. And yeah, obviously you want the sack count to go up.
Yeah, listen, too much is given, much is expected. And the Lions had 30 sacks last year, and that's with a host of injuries. And I'm looking at the fact that you get Romeo Okwara back, you added Aiden Hutchinson, you brought in Pascal, you found a way to revamp and get some guys who can rush for the linebacker position. I'm expecting at the minimum 45 sacks as a total, 15 increases. I figure if you bring back Romeo Okwara gets you at least 7 to 9, and to me, the rookie need to have 10. And if they did the same thing that they did with the 30, and you get basically 10 to 7 to 9, that's already 47. So I went under, took 45. 45 seems like a number that they should be at. In terms of the pressures, though, this is where I think it gets a little bit more suspect, where they have to be somewhere realistically around 170. And the reason I say that is because if you're not in that area of 170, you got problems, which means that the scheme is probably not lending itself for these players to be better. But to kind of put it in perspective, the Bengals, when they had that terrible record and picked up Jamar Chase, they only had 111 pressures, which was 31st, and then they had 17 sacks, which was 32nd, and they bumped that up to 42 sacks, which made them 12th, and then 170 pressures, which put them at 17th. Which I'm pretty sure those numbers probably came, even though it's on SB Nation with the Lion thing. The SB Nation. Let me make sure I read the title right. I don't want to botch their name. SB Nation, proud of Detroit, where I'm pretty sure they probably pulled that from some stuff. But my overall viewpoint, put it from Pro Football Focus, which I hate Pro Football Focus, but my overall viewpoint is if they can have an increase like that, and you're not looking at them and saying they made all these significant increases and improvements to their D line, but they still pull it off. I expect to see a great deal of improvement. You have too many pieces that you've invested in that D line to not have that improvement, and it makes me want to puke. So, I'm expecting to see some changes.
And we need to have expectations for it. You can't invest all that in a line and then go, oh, yeah, sorry, you're going to have to wait 2-3 years to see it all in there. So it's like I say, you have a mixture in there of guys getting very well paid because they're vets and highly talented youngsters, just like on the offensive line. And we're expecting big things from the offensive line this year. But for me, it's, there's a few more aspects to this with the defensive line. Obviously, if Aaron Glenn is a lot more aggressive with his defense this year, which I want him to be, the defensive line, they might not get the sacks themselves, but I want to see the linebackers racking up some sacks as well. I want to see these blitz guys getting in there, causing problems. That's going to be on the D-line to be able to make that situation happen. And the biggest one is the run game. This D-line has to stop hemorrhaging the run. I mean, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, they've not had a hard day's work in their life against this team before. They run over us like there is no issue whatsoever. And you know what? I want to see Aaron Jones get pile drived into the ground 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I want to see him hurt. I want to see him struggling to play against us. I'm fed up of seeing him and Cook and Montgomery just absolutely beast us. And this is again going to be down to the defensive line. We've invested in setting the edge. In Aiden Hutchinson's in there, Pascal's in there. We've, invested in the interior. So,
it's got to show up.
If you're going to say to me that, we'll not get 50 sacks this year, but if we get, 42, 43 sacks, we maybe get 120, 130 pressures, but at the same time, you get 50 yards a game less ran on you, because that D-line is performing better, because you're getting noticeable improvements in the run game, I'd accept that as well. I'd accept a little less pressure on the quarterback if it meant the run game was getting better, because that hurts us just as much as the lack of pressure on the QB does, because at the end of the day, QBs aren't having to do as much work against us because the run games are carrying so many teams. When we can make bog standard quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins look like the Patrick Mahomes, because he's under no pressure to perform in the game against us. That means a lot. So if we can start putting some of these QBs under more pressure because the run game's buckling, the pressures and the sacks should follow naturally along with that. Because you put them in more third and long situations, you can blitz more, you can put them under more pressure. I think the two work hand in hand. So the run game really does have to take precedence.
I mean, and again, at some point, the D-line got to show up. Marcus says, do you think the Lions will regret passing on Tibbs? No. I think if you go and watch any of the Lions videos that they put on their YouTube channel, it's very clear that they can't coach effort and they want people with effort. And apparently they saw what I saw. They saw somebody who on crucial downs did not have the effort. And I pointed this out many times, 3rd and 18, and you're leaning on people. That's go time. That's where you get your money. So yeah, I'm not buying that's what they're seeing. I'm not buying that.
If in 5 years you were to tell me out of Thibs and Hutchinson that they both developed into really good players, but Thibodeau had, he was the sack master. He's the one who'd done more on the quarterbacks, and Aiden Hutchinson had done more in the run game and sort of solidified that. I'd not be surprised if that was sort of the evaluation in 5 years' time, and I'd be okay with that. I think both us and the Jets win. We needed a pass rusher or a run stopper either way. So I think that's probably the truth. Kayvon's always been more of a pressure guy, a sack guy. His effort in the run game is not as great as Aiden's is. So that could be how they're defined. But I hope that it's not defined by just those two. Is it them two who's done it? I think they're both going to be great players in their own right.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I have just posted the link if you want to join the conversation. Basically, what this means is you can actually join the show. All you need is a cell phone with a mic of a source with a headphone. I would not try to do it without a headphone mic. You need at least some earbuds or a headphone of a sort. And you come in and you talk your talk for a few, and then we keep it going. So it's pinned up. So if you want to join the show and talk your talk, then feel free to jump in and talk your talk. We are here for you to have that moment. You feel like we not being respectful, then tell it like it is. 45 sacks, 145 pressures. I'm with you. We put so much in this D-line. I want results. Yeah, Mike. Yeah, 100%. I'm 100% down for it. My man's Lions Rumble jumped in real quick. What's going on, Rumble?
What's up, boys?
Man, welcome to the show.
Rumble.
What's going on, man? Pleasure.
I'm excited, man. I'm feeling really good. 3 sacks per game is 51 sacks. Yeah, I think 17 games we play.
I think what's more interesting is who do you reckon is going to end up with the most sacks this year? Because there are a lot of candidates.
Who's going to end up with the most?
Yeah, if Romeo comes back and is healthy,
Raven's
in there, who gets the most sacks?
It better be Hutchinson. It better be Hutchinson. I mean, listen, if it's not Hutchinson, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're talking about a guy who took. Listen, this is the thing that people hate when I say this, but it's the truth. He was drafted higher than J.J. Watts, drafted higher than Reggie White, Derek Thomas. When you go to the list of all the people he was drafted higher than, yeah, too much is given, much is expected. And it's just the reality of it, unfortunately. I hate to be that guy. Rumble, let me go back on the first question. I want to have a little fun with it. 2 Lions you want to see box it out?
Oh, I said Sewell and Hutchinson. I think that would be fun.
That's your 2. All right, here we go. I like it. All right, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, what's a realistic fair? I gotta say this again because people say I'm not realistic, but I have high expectations. And when you got expectations, that's very realistic for me. What's a realistic fair sack and pressure total for you? They had literally 30 sacks last year and 124 pressures. What should it be this year?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. We should see an increase with everyone being healthy, and we have different weapons on the ends. So yeah, 50, 60 sacks minimum. And again, we have one of the most versatile defensive lines, I believe. I can't wait to see what Levi brings. I can't wait to see what Hutch brings, and everyone on that D line really. So they're gonna have to double somebody. So I just pray that these guys are, ready to, make plays, because you can't double team everybody on that D line. So somebody's going to eat.
Yeah, somebody has to eat. You know what I mean? Like somebody has to eat. Shout out to our first Facebook person to pop in. Why their name not coming up? It's beyond me. I don't know why it's not showing up, but it says, "What's up? Luke been hitting the gym." No. That's Rumble. Rumble been hitting the gym. Luke need to hit the goddamn gym, but you know what? That's not the point today. That's not what we're doing. Brockers versus Romeo Okudah. Oh, I never thought about that. That would be a good fight. Brockers and Okudah, that would be a good fight. I can't wait to see that D-line rotation. I'm with you. Oh, it says it's Buck. Sorry. I was like, what the hell is going on? Shout out to you, Buck. I don't know why it's not showing it. If you don't know who Buck is he's the fearless leader of this thing, this man hour that got us on Facebook and everything else. So hopefully people over there enjoying the show. Jim Church here says Lions are in dire need of. Oh my God, Jim. Speak nasty to me like this more often. Give me more of your filthy, dirty words. I need this. Oh, let me just smother myself with this. Jim, I'm so disgusted at our secondary safety position and our linebackers that I want to puke. And while most of the Lions fan base is trying to make it seem like the answer to that problem is one Malcolm Rodriguez, it's a great TV show on Netflix called Bullshit, and I'm calling it. Okay? And there's no way I'm buying that this guy comes in and fix this problem, let alone gets a chance to Lodi Tune gave me the pause. That this guy comes in and takes these other people's spot. That's not our history. Our history is not doing that. And to me, there were linebackers that we could have taken that would have made more sense. And we could have did so many things different, but that's not the point. The point is we are still headed into the season with the same problems that we headed into the damn draft with.
Like, Luke, this is all part of the Brad Holmes master plan here, Luke. You know,
okay.
He's gone after the trenches for so long now. You know, the offensive line, the defensive line. He's gone after the receivers this year. You know, linebacker's been deliberately left alone because next year just happens to be the year that a certain brother of Penei Sewell comes out of college. And he's probably going to be one of the best linebackers to come out of college for a damn long time. And I think the Lions are going to pursue him aggressively.
But they can't.
This is all playing for Noah Sewell in 12 months.
They can't. You know why they can't? And I'm going to tell you why they can't. I'm going to tell you why they can't, though. And I'm going to tell you with emphatically information why they can't. You know why? Because they're going to be too busy using those draft assets to trade up to get a quarterback.
Oh, I don't think so.
Really?
There's a lot. This is all in hindsight, obviously, but there are a lot of really good quarterback prospects next year. I don't think we're going to have to sell the house to go and get a good one. I really don't. So,
what do you think, Rumble? You think the Luke, chill. We got Ellen hands along. I can't with it. Joseph Osteen says we got Davis, no worries. I'm actually a fan of Davis. I think he's going to be an improved player for us. I think he needs to get an opportunity to play, and I think they brought him back to match up with him. But yeah, if Rodriguez is the answer, then I'm going to start watching the Pistons game.
Can we have sort of an impasse here, Luke? If we give you Jared Davis as a starter, can we have Malcolm Rodriguez as a starter? Well, that, we sort of...
It's not the history. The history says those late round picks don't start, let alone on the Lions. If I were to go through and ask you who was the last person taken, was it with the fifth, sixth round? What we take them at? Sixth round? Fifth? Sixth? God damn it, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, fifth or sixth. I know we took the tight end. We took the tight end fifth or sixth too.
Yeah, I feel like we took him like the tight end. I feel like it was the fifth round.
Quandre Diggs, surely.
No, that started year one. You can't say Quandre Diggs started year one.
No, but he got some good playing time.
He did after he moved to safety. Positional change changed everything, right? Like I'm not acting like I need him to do the words. Rodriguez.
Penasini did the year before last as a round 7 pick. Penasini got a good amount of time on the defensive line.
But he wasn't a starter day one, and he wasn't a starter his first year. It took injuries upon injuries for him to even get in there.
Yeah, but he was a 7th round. That is, big difference between a 5th and a 7th rounder. 7th rounder is bottom of the barrel, just taking a fly, throwing a dart at a wall. At least with 5, you're still kind of, there is, some logic there to it.
I
don't know. I just think with the attacking defense that they keep saying that they're going to play this year, I don't think it's going to really. I think they're going to force teams to react to them. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of linebacker rotation this year.
Yeah.
I think you'll see guys like Rodriguez and Davison on early downs playing against the run, which they're good at. And then you'll see guys like blitzing guys like Barnes, etc., come in on some of the passing downs, go after the quarterback. I think you'll see. I don't think we need a starter this year. I think we've got a rotation where we can sort of get away without having bona fide starters by playing them situationally.
I just how can I word this? you know how you have a thought and you want to make sure you word it in a way where it doesn't sound like you're downing the situation, or I can't think of it.
No, we have thick skin, man. Go ahead. Say what you are.
It's just when you look at the rotational part of it, I don't think they're rotating as much as people think they are. This is not what we were doing when we had Tara Austin. This is going to be something a little bit different. I don't expect to see a lot of rotating D linemen coming in now. I think you're going to see a lot of package D linemen in different quarters and stuff, but not to the point where you're seeing a constant rotation to keep them fresh. I don't think that's what they're looking for. I don't think so. And to answer the question about the last guy who just start immediately, that was taken late, it was not Amani. Amani only started 2 games that year. So, yeah. And Jerry Rice don't count. I said on the Lions. And I don't even think Jerry Rice was a 6th-round pick. I'm pretty sure he was not a 6th-round pick. I thought he was drafted a little bit higher.
Hang on, there must have been someone from the 2018 class. Was it Kerryon? Was he 5th?
Kerryon was a 2nd-round pick.
Oh, Kerryon 2nd. I mean, but that year, who was that year? We had Walker, we had Hand. They would have been later picks.
We get people, if you draft them late, they special teams guys, and the coaches don't use them right, and they get forgotten about. I mean, hell, look at Jamar Jefferson. He got a few little playing spots, but he's relegated to special teams. And then I remember he
got injured when he was getting hot, though. That Seahawks game, he was playing well, and he got injured, so that kind of worked against him a little bit there. That wasn't really his fault.
And to JT's point about Bill Belichick drafting 6th-round studs and stuff like that, I just don't think that you can use that as an example because he's actually playing them. The Lions' history is we don't do that. We're not playing these guys unless they're on special teams. In fact, if you go back and you listen to the end of Dan, the behind the scenes of the draft at the 41:02 mark, he literally talks about Michael Rodriguez, and their whole purpose is to bring him in for special teams so he can develop into a player down the road. Not my words, his. So that's what I'm saying. There's also been a lot of talk about the Lions defense last year giving up a whole lot of high passer ratings. My question to you, gentlemen, is does that bother you? Starting with you, Rumble, does that bother you that they gave up all these high passer ratings? I got a very interesting take on this.
Again, it doesn't bother me because we kind of weren't. They gave the whole roster a facelift, right? So again, it doesn't bother me per se, but they can't do that this year for sure. They cannot do that.
Just surrender to the truth. Surrender to the truth. That's my viewpoint. I'm not concerned about the high QB ratings when you talk about us playing with Anthony, you and me. At those positions, we were riddled with injuries. We were riddled with young players. We're still one of the youngest teams in the league. And you had a first-year coach. Yeah, they should have lit our asses up and had high passer ratings. Who cares? Half of the people that we needed wasn't in. There was no Romeo Okudah. There was no Trey Flowers. There was no Jeff Okudah, dare I say it. Right? The secondary was almost comical. If you didn't like them up, shame on you as a quarterback.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not concerned about it. What about you, Anthony?
Well, I just want to say I'm probably not built like a defensive guy in the NFL. I think I'm a lineman on the offense. So you can't include me in the defense there, Luke. But no, I'm not concerned because the makeup of our defense last year, and I've gone through this a lot of times. We had such a young secondary last year. I mean, look at it. I mean, at safety, we had nothing there apart from Tracy, and he was on a prove-it year. At corner, we had undrafted free agents. Our vets didn't perform, and then they left, and we had so many injuries there that the defense had to play passive. We kept linebackers back in coverage when they're not very good at playing in coverage. We gave up a lot of easy yards. We didn't give the defensive line much help in trying to get to the quarterback. And what that unfortunately resulted in was a lot of, situations where it was easy to pass on us because the passiveness allowed it. And I think that was just a situation of the circumstance we were in. We had a lot of, we didn't have much depth. We were riddled with injuries. We lost our best pass rushers. And, it was very difficult for us to be able to play anything other than we did. Whereas when we come into it this year, the defensive line has had a lot of work put into it, as I've already said, through money, through draft picks. So you're going to see results there. In a situation where, you can get more pressure on a quarterback. And not only that, your secondary is looking a little bit better now. We saw Amani play really well last year. We saw Iffy play really well last year. You've got the players in there now where you can start to trust them a little bit more. And when you can trust them a little bit more, you can be a bit more aggressive in your defense. And it just so happens that we've got the linebackers to go and be a bit more aggressive there. So I would expect to see this defense be able to put more pressure on quarterbacks, to stop this easy line of fire that they've got on us here. And, just because of the makeup now and the skill of the players we have, I would expect to see the amount of yards and the passer ratings come down against us. I think last year it was just, come on. That defense, all those injuries, we were on a hide into nothing a lot of the time. And, lack of experience, lack of the coaches being here, being able to implement the way they play. I just think this year we're set up a lot better to be able to counter some of this. Now, we're still going to get past on a lot. The defense isn't finished, and there's still a lot of rookies in there, and we're still relying on them to play well. But I trust them to be able to step up a lot more this year because they're in a lot better position. So, yeah, I'm not worried about last year. That's a clean slate. That's gone now. I would expect to see them be a lot more aggressive as long as Aaron Glenn is aggressive. And again, that's what I want to see this year. I criticized him for being too passive last year. I want to see that aggression come out. And if he does, we'll be in a lot better place.
Hey, shout out to you, sir. You get some love in the building out here. I'm feeling that. JT, if y'all don't know, JT does all 32 football teams and then some, but he's also a Steelers fan. And he says Steelers trade Mason Rudolph to the Lions for Alex Anzalone. Who say no? Not my ass. Not me. We got the great Malcolm Rodriguez. Are you kidding me? I need all the young guys to play. I need him, Barnes. I want them all to play. I am not with this Alex Anzalone train at all. You give me Mason Rudolph, bye-bye Tim Boyle, bye-bye. I feel way more comfortable with Mason Rudolph than Tim Boyle. And David Blau, in my opinion, I like a lot, but I would feel better with having him there, over them. So, yeah. Are you saying no to that trade, Rumble?
No, I would say no to that. I think
okay. You thought about it.
Yeah, I just know that Alex is, believe it or not, Alex is for whatever reason, him and Damon are buddies, and he feels comfortable with him back there. He brought him back for a reason. I don't know. I just got to see what they have cooked up in a pot. Whatever defense they're going to be running this year. Again, they said they're going to be more, not so much reactive, but forcing the offense to react. So we'll see what they do, man. Somebody's got to cover the linebacker or the tight end.
It's funny because Jim bring up a point that I thought about that I was going to be paying attention to, which is, this having this front seven. I've seen teams have a stellar front seven and the secondary be trash, and it was all for naught. He brings up the point. The Lions have no defensive backs and linebackers, yet the line is going to stop teams. It's a dream. It's a point.
Unless they're blitzing those cornerbacks.
I think that's harsh on our defensive back group. I think Iffy played really well last year. I think he had an injury that disrupted his development, but either side of that, he was playing really well. Amani, was a ball. I know some say he got some easy interceptions in there, but he still played well. You've got a lot of competition in this cornerback room this year. And guys, it's not like they're rookies anymore. They've got a year's experience behind them. It's like the whole thing about Darwin, the survival of the fittest, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of corners there this year. The corners who make it onto this roster this year are going to have to play bloody well to get on that team. So it's not like we're just going to be sending out a load of UDFAs and who are going to get slaughtered. You're really not. Amani's turning into a decent cornerback at this level. He's experienced. A lot of these guys have a lot of potential in there. So I think it's unfair to say we have no defensive backs in there to play well. Tracy he's got his deal and is in there and he's going to be playing. Kirby Joseph, albeit a rookie, yes. Again, we could see some good stuff from him. If your defensive line's getting pressure on quarterbacks, it means you've got more chances of interceptions, more chances of plays in there. I think that's unfair. And I know with the linebackers, we've not got names in there, but what you do have are linebackers who can join the defensive line in creating pressure. Again, Barnes, if you use him right, he's going to get into the backfield. He's going to cause a lot of problems in there. You're going to disrupt running games. You're going to disrupt quarterbacks from getting into their flow. It's just been so easy for quarterbacks to throw on us in the last few years. We've not had a defensive line, quite simply. We just haven't for years and years and years now. And teams have passed easy on us. So I'd rather have a defensive line. We've got more of a chance with these guys on here than we would without them. And I think people have been a little bit unfair towards some of these guys back there. Yeah, they're not superstars and that, but they play well as a sum of their parts. And they fight damn hard. And that is what they do. And they will win sometimes because of that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it from the standpoint that if I'm a team, and I really want to attack the Lions, I'm going after your linebackers. That would be the game plan for me. Get after the linebackers and see if they got what it takes to do what they need to do with our team.
And you know what I do in that situation if I'm the Lions? I bring my secondary up. I bring my safeties up.
Then I dot your ass up down the field. If I'm the Vikings, if I'm any of these other teams who got a receiver.
Not when I've got Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Harris, and Romeo Okwara bearing down on you through the edges, and I've got Barnes and Rodriguez and the likes coming through you through the center. I'm going to blitz your ass, so you've got no time to pass the ball. And you've got in Joseph, you've got a ball hawk who's going to come down and protect the middle of that field. So, we couldn't be this aggressive last year. That's why the linebackers got picked on so much, because the safeties sat high, and they sat high to protect the corners. This year, we've got a good problem at corner where we've got a lot of guys who can come in and play well. And I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but I trust them more to live on an island this year and to be able to go after them. While I bring my safeties up and show the aggression. Bringing the safeties up protects the linebackers. Let the linebackers go and do the job they're good at. Bring the guys who can come in and get the ball. So that quarterback ain't targeting my middle of the field then.
That's fair. I gotta give you pushback, so that's fair.
I know. I wouldn't expect any less, Luke.
One Pride 40 says, "Watch Hamilton be a bust." I think at this point, any NFL draft pick can be a bust, including Aiden Hutchinson. And if Hamilton ends up being a bust, then he's a bust.
Then I've got a lot of podcasts that I need to go back in history and delete.
Yeah,
so,
but
for my sake, I want to say that I'm a good evaluator of talent.
Yeah, if I'm a batting man, you good. Trust me.
I want him to be an All-Pro this year. Then I can say, well, look, at least we got the edge rusher, but I was right about Hamilton. So, I don't want him to bust. I really don't.
I mean, we don't want anybody to be a bust, but the reality is it can happen to anybody. And the thing is,
whoever the Bears drafted can be bust.
Right. So what you do is you wait and you look 3 years down the line and you look at it. This love affair that we had with Okudah, newsflash, it's not looking good. For me, I thought Isaiah Simmons would have been a better prospect, and it's looking like I was right. Sorry, I ain't sorry.
Yeah, I think these two coaches are defensive back gurus, so I think we're in for a treat this year. I think that's why they're so focused on just rushing the passer and letting them try to, like you said, Luke, pick us off. But I think our cornerbacks are going to be ready. I think that secondary is going to be stout.
I tell you what, I think the most important guy in regards to the defense this year is not Glenn or Pleasant, it's Todd Wash. He has got a lot of talent to work with on that defensive line now, and he has to find a way to make it work. He has to give his secondary time. He has to give the guys in the backfield an opportunity to make plays by forcing pressures, etc. It's been years since we've had an effective defensive line, and if he can't make it work with these rookies that he's been given, with these vets he's got on the edge who are decent, playing well, then that's going to be really bad for us. If he can have sort of a Ben Johnson-esque type year and really break out as one of the coaches of the future, then, we're going to be in a really good situation. But he's vital this year, especially as, like I say, the two main coaches, they're not defensive line coaches, they're secondary coaches. And our strength on the defense this year is our defensive line. And we need our strength to be firing on all cylinders to have a chance.
All right, people. All right, we're getting closer to our end time, so I want to make sure I hit on the last question or two, but really this one came up from a subscriber, so shout out to the subscriber. I try not to say their name too much because they have different names on their Instagram stuff, and I don't know if they want it to be shared, so I try not to say their name, but if they give me the YouTube name on their Instagram, I can say it. But he asked this question, and it got me to thinking, and it's simple. I'm going to start this off with you, Rumble. Are you concerned with the amount of injuries the Lions have?
No, not right now. Jameson just one that we're keeping an eye on, but so far I haven't really heard anything. Ragnall's back. Taylor Decker's back. It looks like everybody's back relatively, 100%. But again, we don't want to. Man, we don't want a lot of injuries this year because then that's just gonna throw a wrench in the whole thing. But we do need the next man to step up if we do have injuries to potential starters. So we need all these guys to be coached up and ready. But I'm not too concerned right now, not yet.
Anthony, are you concerned with the amount of injuries the Lions have right now?
I can't give you an honest answer, which is no, because I am concerned. We have, especially in this draft, we have invested in Jameson Williams, who's coming off a torn ACL. We have invested in James Mitchell, who's come off a torn ACL. We've invested in Josh Pascal, who has back issues at this moment in time. And that immediately makes you think about Levi last year. He had back issues as well. So, of course, I'm concerned. And there are lots of players coming off bad injuries who are not going to be fit for week one of the season. For me, it's about how they manage these players. Obviously, wear and tear injuries throughout the year, contact injuries, stuff like that, they are inevitable during the season. But what I want to see is, I don't want to see the strength and conditioning type injuries, the stuff that can be prevented. I don't want to be seeing that during the season because we had a lot of both last year. We had a lot of contact injuries. We had a lot of strength and conditioning injuries. It seemed like something was a little bit amiss. So, I'm interested to see how they manage them. They've got to be careful. They've got to bring them back on a good time scale. They've got to get them fit properly. But I am concerned because a lot rests on the players staying healthy this season. TJ needs to stay healthy because he's a big part of this offense. DeAndre needs to stay healthy because, he is our best running back and he is the difference maker in that running back room. The offensive line needs to stay healthy because it's the biggest strength on our entire team and the entire focal point of our offense. So we need them to stay healthy. And on the defensive side, there are so few guys who are established there that we need them to be healthy as well. We can't afford an injury, to I hate to say it, but Anzalone. You can't afford an injury to Tracy Walker, etc. So I am very concerned because injuries have bugged us a lot the last few years, but I trust this staff to get it right. I don't think they're going to I don't think they are going to have gone out and drafted all these guys with injury problems if they didn't think that, they weren't going to be affected by them. The way they're dealing with them in the preseason. I know there's a big scrap going on with Jameson Williams about saying when he's going to be ready and that, but they seem to be holding their ground and saying, look, be patient, we'll play you. So I trust them to do it, but I am concerned.
Yeah, I'm beyond concerned. I'm almost disgustingly concerned. It wasn't too long ago that a number of fans came on and said that, hey, I'm tired of drafting hurt players. And then we go out and draft hurt players, and they're like happy as hell about it. And, I was one of the few people who pitched a bitch about this. I was very disgusted at the fact that they took a tight end when there were still people that I believe could have came in and helped us immediately. Not a damn tight end that you're trying to find a tight end number 2. Really. Then you go out, you bring in Devin Functions and all this other BS. Like, spare me this. I'm disgusted. You got a receiver who everybody's excited for, which I understand. Good luck. You're not going to see him until October, November. So, trick or treat or Thanksgiving. What is it? Which one you want? I don't know. And then you talk about Pascal, like you said, with the back injury. You took that guy in the second round when we clearly could have took some different people in that round that we were going to do. And you did that after taking Aiden Hutchinson, which is like, okay. But that also tells me that they probably knew that John Pennicini was going to retire. Yeah, so they knew that, and they just didn't announce it in respect to his wishes. But I think Jim makes another good point. It makes no sense to draft injured players during a rebuild, and then on top of that, you go out and get Chark, who's coming off an injury. Everybody coming off an injury. I just feel like if you look at last year, you can single-handedly say because of the injuries, it's why our season sucked. So I'm beyond concerned. I am worried that this is the case because I can tell you right now, if you just look at the draft picks, 1, 2, so you get the tight end, you got like 4 of them are hurt.
So they are, but I guess if you look at this really deeply, I mean, look at the extenuating circumstances around this. Jameson Williams might not be fit for the start of the season. And what is he going to be in our team? He is going to be the deep threat who stretches the field. So what do? We've bought in DJ Chark, who's going to be fit for the start of the season. I know he's been injured, but he will be fit for the start of the season. And he's going to be the de facto deep threat until Jameson Williams is back. We've given ourselves insurance against that injury. James Mitchell is the tight end too. And, I've spoken a lot of good things about James Mitchell. I know you've spoken down about him, and I'll use this against you here. You say tight end 2 isn't that big an issue. It's not, to start with. We've got Brock Wright, who's going to be here. There's Garrett Griffin or whatever the hell he is. And, you've got some guys in there who can sort of hold the fort until Mitchell's ready to come in. But TJ's the main guy in there who's going to do a lot of the legwork. So you can wait for Mitchell to be fit in that regard. Pascal, you've got the same thing here. Levi's going to be fit this year. Pascal is going to play at the 3 tech, really. That's where he's best at. It's where Levi's best at. And Levi's going to have a full camp behind him. He's going to be fit there. So you can afford to let, if Pascal is, I don't know how bad the injury is. I don't think it's that bad, to be fair. But even if there is a little bit of a niggle in there, you've got Levi who's going to come in and take the snaps there. So all these players, there's insurance against them, while waiting for them to get healthy. So at least they've not just gone, oh, well, we're going to draft these injured guys, have no contingency plans in place and just go for it. So I think that there's been a lot of, thought out planning about what's going on here. And, if JMO is fit and healthy by the end of the season and been the player that he thinks he is, then, that's a great pick by us. It's a wonderful pick. No one's even going to think about the pick again. It just depends on how they all pan out. But you have to take a risk in there. And JMO's what we needed. We didn't need like an Olave who's a infield route runner type threat. We've got Amon-Ra for that. We needed an outside threat, a deep guy who's got burning speed. So you draft him and you wait for him. And like I say, you've got Chark to wait in the meanwhile. So, well, yes, I am concerned about the injuries and that there. I can see that the Lions have contingencies in place to deal with them. So, I don't think it's going to be that bad.
Anthony, you watch way more college football than I do, right? I can't give too much time. I got kids, right? They are the older they get.
I'm a single guy with absolutely nothing to do, so
I'm just saying, man, the moment my kids get older, I swear, it's not a game. They just want all the time. But shout out to my man Adam. What up, though? He came in and said, "Rumble." But let me ask you this: do you think next year's receiving class will be better than this year?
Right now,
I know it's early, but if you had to guess, again, this is a way too early guess he's making. But I'm curious, if he had to guess, do he think that next year's receiving class is better than this year's?
Potentially, yes. You've already got the Ohio State guy being talked about as high as a number 2 pick. Jackson Smith and Jigba could be better than Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave put together. You've got Jordan Addison, who's gone to USC. You have some very good receiving options at the top of the draft next year. And I know we've already been linked with some of them in mock drafts. There's a new guy at Alabama who's coming out who they're going crazy over. So there's going to be a lot of top-end receivers next year.
Okay, I'm only asking because if the answer is yes, then I feel like taking that receiver doesn't seem like it makes sense. But in the mix says no. JT says no. The receiver class only has 3 good players next year. Dr. Detroit says Williams is a once-in-a-lifetime receiver. It doesn't matter. We had a once-in-a-lifetime receiver, and it yielded nothing. So
I see why they did it, though. It's all right maybe waiting to get this guy here, but this guy needed an outside burning threat with elite speed. And, when we've gone and got him, our offense now is potentially a top 10, top 12 offense, with these guys when they are healthy. And it's young and will continue to just get better. So, our offense is, we don't need to worry about a receiver next year. If Chark does well, if Williams comes back and is doing well, Amon-Ra is going to be in his 3rd year. Our receiving core is pretty bulked out now. So that's one less problem we've got to worry about. If one side of your ball is very strong, which our offense could potentially be, then that'll make us a really good team. So I can see why they went out and got him this year. You might not get that guy next year. And the guys I've mentioned, they don't have the searing speed that Williams does. So, if he's there, you go and get him.
No, I get it, but I just question it. I have to question, like, okay, because that's the question for me. He's hurt. He's hurt, yeah. and I'm sorry, but I'm letting y'all know right now. I'm starting to train that you should not be drafting receivers in the first round no more. I don't believe that you should do this. I think this is a practice that needs to die out, because when you look at it, too often these guys are not panning out to be what they are up to be billed. And the guys who are coming out in the 2nd and 3rd round seem to be having much more success. I think they, the same way they've been cheating on other positions. And that might be a question of who's hell for tomorrow, Thursday, ain't no telling. But, I think they need to stop freaking drafting receivers high. Now, if you get those guys who do come out that are once in a lifetime and you are that one player away, or you feel like you need that one weapon because you don't have it at all, like what the Bengals did, fine, do it. But too many times I've seen these damn receivers come out and they're not living up to what they're being billed as.
But when did we last draft a receiver round 1? We don't. That's not something the Lions do. And
no
this
more.
This was a very specific target because we jumped to get him. It's not, the Lions don't go out and take punts on wide receivers in round 1 every year. Like the Packers take punts at cornerback all the time and can't do it apart from Jerry. It's not a history of us banging our head against the door and failing all the time. If I'm thinking right, this is the first receiver since Galvin we took in round 1. I can't think of one.
Yeah, and how many receivers did we pick up in your Trinity Bensons, your whoever else we picked up last year that didn't work out that we're having a cut so we can have cap space for them. So I'm agreeing with Anthony and you, Luke. Yeah, it's risk reward because this guy's fast, and he could be that perennial Devontae Adams of the NFC North. He could be that good. He could be that good.
I feel you. I don't think nothing you guys are saying is wrong, right?
Right.
But if you go through every draft class and work your way back, the top receivers have not lived up to the bill.
Yeah.
They just haven't.
A lot haven't. No, but some do, and
true.
Every player is going to be their own stat. You can't just go by the old adage that it doesn't work. And like I say, this is planned. This isn't like they've just gone, oh, let's take whatever receiver's best at this point.
I agree with that.
This is, we've got a guy, we want this guy, and we are going to go and get this guy. And, when it's very specifically targeted like that, then you think, they see something there. And, when your wide receivers coach, Randall, I mean, you saw his reaction. He's a damn good wide receiver. He knows good receivers, and he's absolutely delighted to have him. And, this is why I'm sort of certain that even if you've got to wait a little bit, it's going to pay off. Because, I mean, just imagine if we do start well this year, if Williams doesn't play to start, but Chark plays well, the running backs doing, if we win a few games and, there's still possibility of doing something this season, and J-Mo's coming back week 7, week 8, all of a sudden you get incredibly excited because you're like, oh my God, we're doing well, we're hanging in here, and all of a sudden our elite guys here, this piece that we needed to fix this offense is here. You get really excited about it. And then teams are going to be like, oh, what the hell do we do now? Because of the way we've invested in this team, with the group of receivers we have here, we have the outside threat, we've got the speed running threat now, we've got the interior guys. There's a lot of people they've got to deal with. And we've got one of the best offensive lines in the game that's going to be mauling a hole through the middle. So, you can afford just a little bit to wait for him to come. Because, I mean, think of the receivers we started last year with and, or we played with last year in general. We still were able to win games. We were still able to eke something out of it. And it's a lot better this year. We're a lot more healthy. So,
I mean, again, all fair points. I'm just telling y'all right now, early warning signs. I'm about to start the goddamn train. I've already added a few carts. I feel like people are gonna jump on. I was doing some research for a totally different debate with somebody else, and I was going to look at the receivers, and I was like, "No, hold the hell up!" And I started seeing a terrible trend over the last 20 years, where I'm like, "Okay, the top guy drafted was not killing them. Those first round guys wasn't getting it done like that. It was those second, third, fourth, fifth guys." But I get what you're saying.
But I mean, what about the top 3 guys last year? Chase, Waddle, all had superior years. They all really had good years last year. And
listen,
that booked a trend.
But Chase was in a minority. That's the scary part.
But Waddle had a great season as well. He on a Dolphins team that sort of imploded a bit, but he still played really well there. The top 3 guys all had pretty good years. It's all about getting the right player for the right system. And
no disagreement with me. No disagreement from me on you with that. But I just wonder, like, if the Lions used St. Brown earlier and often, he would have had a better season than all of those guys minus Chase.
Agreed. I think we're it was wide receiver central here last year. We're all hyped about Trinity Benson and all these other guys we picked up, and they didn't pan out. So to your point, Luke, I think our wide receiver group now is much more like we know what we're going to get out of St. Brown. We know what we're going to be able to get out of hopefully TJ, and it's going to be a much more rewarding thing because now they have to defend all of our guys. I mean, it's not like it's not like these guys aren't being you guys aren't being implemented more into the game plan. So I think it's going to be fun to see what we do up until we do get Williams back. So I'm just holding my breath. I hope these guys are producing. I hope Hawkinson's producing and St. Brown. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens once we get all those guys back and we line it up 5 wide. It's going to be a thing of beauty, man.
I don't think there's a situation where Amon-Ra would have played like he did for the last 6-7 games last year, all of last year. Don't forget, he was a round 4 pick. So he had to work his way into the season. We all saw during the offseason how hard he worked. His training, staying out on the field after training, the work, the ethic there with it. You knew that he would become a good player. But for a 4th round pick just coming straight in and, a bit been expected of him, you saw early on the confidence wasn't quite there. The crisp running into the routes, all the bits there, he didn't, command Goff's attention. Quintez Cephas did. And Quintez Cephas was a 5th round pick who not really got much going for him at this point. He commanded the attention quicker there. It took Amon-Ra time to bed in. But when he did, he performed really well. I think that was his natural progression. You can't really expect more from a 4th round pick to sort of take half a season to bed in and then just light the league on fire the way he did.
No, I could expect that because in game 1, he was killing the shit out of the damn 49ers. The quarterback couldn't hit him. He was killing them. Then the week after that, he was getting. I watched game after game of this man just go to work, and the quarterback never saw him.
But one part of being a receiver is gaining the trust of your quarterback. Cephas did it.
I mean, that's fair.
It's not a case of he was just being deliberately. It's the same when a new quarterback comes in. It doesn't matter whether you're a first round pick, sixth round, seventh round pick. You've got to earn the trust of your quarterback there. But for me, I like the way Amon-Ra developed last year. It didn't work for him to start with, but he carried on grinding and putting in the effort. And when he caught fire, the man went crazy. And, that's what I like to see. He gets the opportunity, he takes it. And he's coming into this season on a whole wave of momentum. But, I don't think that is necessarily a precursor to, we shouldn't be picking a receiver in the first round. What Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell do, they pick guys with the right attitude, the right personality, the right work ethic. You see it with them all. You see it with Penei Sewell. He had a good year last year, and for him, it's not good enough. The way he works out, his standards, they're really high, but he meets those standards and he keeps getting better. I think it's the personality of these guys which allowed Amon-Ra to succeed, because of just how badly he wants it and how much he'll go for it. I think, it's an unfair assertion to say, we can just do it again with another guy. Not all guys are built the way he is. Whereas JMO, when he's coming in, JMO does have this attitude. He was sitting on the bench at Ohio State for years. He made the ballsy move to transfer in his last year. Went to Alabama, of all places, where they got Mechie, who's the top guy there. But he comes in, forces his way in, plays really well. This is a guy, again, who is always challenging himself to try and get better. He's not afraid to take risks to get better either. It's a mentality with the receivers. And I foresee the same mentality that Amon-Ra has in JMO. And when he comes in, you'll see exactly the same with him. He'll come in, he'll work his ass off hard. He will slowly get better and better. But in the end, you'll get what you want out of him.
Listen, I can't argue with you. I'm just under the belief that it's time to stop taking these goddamn receivers in the first round. JT Sports says, if you name your top 5 receivers right now, majority of them weren't in the first round. I just happened to notice this, and I was like, what the hell? Literally, the top guys were not, they weren't in. And I was like, what am I missing? But I think over time, other people will see it, especially as the analytical world gets bigger. I think they will see it.
Okay, so all I'd say to that is, maybe at this point in time, that is it. But you will go through spells where the receiver cores coming through college aren't as good as some of the others. So the talent is going to be. But even in 2 or 3 years' time, who are you going to be talking about as some of the top 5 receivers in the NFL? Justin Jefferson's going to be up there, first-round pick. Jamar Chase is going to be up there, first-round pick. There will be first-round picks in there because the ones in recent years have been a lot higher caliber, and they landed in systems which work for them. So it's not all about where they're picked. It's about, the scheme they're put into and the coaches they're getting put into. And again, I have less of an issue with this because the Lions don't just go and pick first round wide receivers every year. It's not like we've got a habitual problem where we think we can only solve it in the first round. We only go into the first round when there's someone we know who is worth going for.
I'm not saying, but see, Anthony, I'm not saying that, Anthony. What I'm saying is one thing I know for sure, and 2 things I know are going to be certain. Shit, JT, don't jump in before we get off. What I know for certain is this, that too often when I look at this Lions fan base, if you draft a receiver in any draft, they get at draft a high grade. It never fails. It never fails. Marcus says, and I'm gonna get to you, JT. Don't just hold tight for me. Marcus says, Luke, how much of Jared Goff's inefficiencies was due to Anthony Lynn play calling and offensive scheme? 10%. 10%. I do not believe that any coach ever told the quarterback, don't throw the ball no more than 5 yards. I don't buy it. I'm not buying it. And then to tell them to do the shit for 3, 4, 5 weeks, no, not buying it. There's no way I believe that happened. Shout out to my man JT Sports who jumps in at the last minute. What's going on, sir?
What's going on, man? I was just going to say that, I agree with you about the wide receiver thing. Like, you're always going to have some outliers, but I can name y'all my top 5 wide receivers real quick, and all of them weren't even first-round picks. Like Devontae Adams went in the 4th round. Stephon Diggs,
Second.
round 5.
Devontae Adams was a 2nd-round pick.
Second round, Stephon Diggs. I think he went 4th or 5th out of Maryland. Cooper Kupp was the 2nd round pick.
No, Kupp was the 5th, right? Or 4th?
No, he was the 2nd.
3rd.
I thought he was the 2nd.
I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember everybody else's thing, but I'm pretty sure he was like a 3rd round pick. I could be wrong.
And then what's Deebo Samuel, 2nd round pick. I mean, really there's only a top. It's only like a 1%. It's only like a 3% amount of wide receivers who were drafted in the 1st round in the last couple of years that actually really popped off for real. You feel me? Because wide receiver is a position that it's so many that enter the draft that it's so many guys that come from small schools that can pop off. And plus, it also depends on the development too, because Pittsburgh drafts wide receivers and develops them like they're nothing.
I mean, again, I want to respond. Again, I don't want people to think that I'm tripping. I'm just telling you, just go back and just work your way back through the drafts and look at the statistics. The top receivers are not those guys. I mean, Tyreek Hill wasn't the 1st round pick, and everybody loves him.
Hey, let me give you the best example ever. Past decade. You want to know who the best wide receiver was of this past decade who wasn't the 1st round pick? Antonio Brown. 6th round out of Central Michigan.
5th round out of Central Michigan. 5th. I remember that one by heart because I remember when he came out, he took over. But I think, and this is just my honest opinion, I think once he took that hit from Vontaze, that's when everything changed. That's when we got the guy who gets undressed and walk off the field. I think that hit was life altering.
Honestly, Tomlin said it was really just the ego. You know, it was really just he got the money and he changed because like what he was saying earlier about the work ethic and the mentality, like a lot of people were just writing it off, but that's actually true because if you listen to anybody talk about Antonio Brown, the first thing they will tell you, other than the off the field antics, he's one of the hardest working wide receivers that they probably ever met. Like the dude was first one in, last one to leave the facility. Like even Mike Tomlin said this. Like Luke, when you get a chance, I want you to promise me there is sometime this week that you watch the Mike Tomlin interview on the Pivot.
I already seen it. He's one of my favorite coaches, and I've already seen it. Even when he's talking about what happened on that, I still don't buy his explanation.
I don't buy it neither.
That's BS, claiming that he didn't see it until he got into the jumbotron my ass. But okay, it sounds good, you know. But yeah, I've already seen it, and I enjoy what I've seen out of that.
So the issue I have here is, I mean, we talk about. The Lions don't just go and draft wide receivers first all the time. The one thing the Lions have done all right over the years is draft receivers wherever they've gone. They found Kenny in the draft. They got Amon-Ra in the 4th last year. So it's not like they're just going, a 1st round wide receiver is going to be better because, they targeted Amon-Ra last year. And we were crying out for receivers last year. We were literally crying for them and they waited till well into day 2 to go and get him. And, they found the player. That's the talent they saw in him. So the fact that for a very rare occasion they've gone up to get someone in the 1st, it's not a case of I don't think he's going to bust. I think there's something legitimate they see in him there. So I would not want to use this argument like, all these 1st round picks are going to be busts. I think the Lions are good at finding receivers. And if they think that JMO's the guy, I fully trust them to do that. I don't think we had to go 4th round again this year to try and find another Amon-Ra. I think they'll find him wherever he's in the draft, whether he's 1st round or 7th.
No,
I think he's right.
I get all of that. This is one of them topics that I think can go for so long, right? But and I will revisit it. But I just think I look at it, I'm like, the best guys ain't seem to be the ones drafted in the 1st. I'm just saying.
But the thing with Jameson Williams, and I'm gonna hop off. I think when you look at these Jamar Chases and these Jameson Williams, these aren't your typical wide receivers. These are wide receivers that at their potential can really win you games. And Luke G, me and you both were against Cincinnati taking Jamar Chase, but I mean, Joe Burrow probably had his stamp of approval on it, so that's probably why they went ahead. But sometimes you do have wide receivers that are capable of being able to come in and win you 2 or 3 games. You look at Tyreek Hill, what he did for Kansas City, he was the equivalent to 2-3 wins. If Jameson Williams ends up being as good as what many people thought, because I mean the Lions get him at 12 was kind of a steal because many people had him being the first receiver going off the board. So I mean he comes in and develops like how he should. You have a potential generational wide receiver that can win you 2-3 games a season.
I would tell you this. I will put it this way before you bounce out. I will put it this way. Do I still think that they made a strange decision in taking the receiver over the blocker? Yes, because when it counted, you needed blocking. When it counted, you needed blocking. So I get it. But I'm just making the point to have people think and say, look, let's go and look at it. It may be time to abandon taking receivers high in the first round. Just saying. Appreciate you for coming through, JT, and sharing your thoughts with the people. Again, and anybody in the chat, FYI, that link in the top of the chat that's pinned up there, that's for anybody to join. Even though we getting ready to get up out of here, but that link is for anybody to join and come and be a part of the conversation. The same way he came in is how they're able to do it. The only thing I ask is keep it respectful, and not keep the politics and all the other stuff out of it, because I can tell you right now, it won't work here. Okay, I have a whole setup for that kind of stuff, and that's not what you want to see yourself on. Trust me. My man Edward Molinda says that I'm bashing Goff, and I'm not. I'm not bashing Goff. What I'm saying is I have a hard time buying into the belief that he was asked to throw the ball 5 yards or less. That is not a scheme.
No, it's not. But the one thing that this Jameson Williams draft thing does show is that they trust him, because you won't go up and you won't give up that sort of draft capital for a receiver if you're not going to entrust him to your incumbent quarterback.
No, I agree.
If they doubted Goff's ability to throw it deep, and they doubted his ability to be able to make the big plays like that, they ain't going to go out there and get a burner who stretches the field. That would just make no sense. Even if you were to get rid of Goff in 12 months, it makes no sense, because you're wasting a year of Jameson's career on a quarterback there. So you have to bring him in with a plan in place. So, the trust for Goff is there. And, I would quite happily say now, there's no one rooting harder for him to succeed. It's like with Okudah. I'm rooting hard for all these guys. I want Okudah to be good next year. I want Goff to be good next year, because if Goff is good next year, behind our fully fit offensive line with Jameson Williams, DJ Chark, all these guys in there, our good running back rotation, and TJ healthy, you've got a legitimate offense there. You really do. So I want nothing more than for him to succeed. But, you also have to take into account that there are issues. That's just, looking at it realistically. You got to look at things both ways, but I hope he does well. I really do. I hope he gives 2 fingers.
You have to, though. If you're a Lions fan and you don't, it's a problem.
Yeah. I hope he gives 2 fingers to everyone who doubts him, because, I feel incredibly sorry for what he went through last year. And to see how I do, yeah. He got chucked away by the Rams. He got blamed for all their problems. McVay got away scot-free for it. Yeah, I know. You're going to surrender there, Luke. But you think as a player, he just got discarded and blamed for all the Rams' problems, came here when no one wanted him. You saw the lack of confidence last year. And I did feel sorry for him, I'm not going to lie. And there was no one more delighted for him when we won that Minnesota game than I was. So I want him to do well this year, because, I don't want to see him put through that situation. I don't want to see him bomb, because this might be his last starting job in the NFL. I want him to succeed, because it's better for my team if he does. We could win 8, 9, 10 games this year if Jared Goff plays well.
I agree.
And I want us to win 8, 9, 10 games. Even if we end up going after another quarterback in the draft next year, I still want what's best for this team, and that's winning games. And we're only going to win games if he plays well.
I got a quick question for you, Anthony.
Yeah.
Really quick question, and then we'll get to the final thoughts. But this is a really quick question I have for you. If Jared Goff succeeds, goes to the playoffs, win a playoff game, and the Lions offer him a long-term deal, how are you feeling? Did you have a twitching face?
See, the Goff situation is very pivotal for our franchise going forward. I would need to examine every single aspect of what has gone on and what he's done this year. what the situation is, how well he's played, how it's going to affect the team going forward. It's not as simple as, if he plays well and we reach a playoff game, do we do him long term? Because you don't know. There are a lot of intangibles in there as well. I mean, even if he plays well next year and we do give him another year or two, I would still look at drafting a quarterback, because you want the succession plan in place just in case it goes wrong. And you want to bring some competition in for him. But if we win a playoff game next year, if we win 10 games and win a playoff game and he's playing really well, then absolutely, I'll keep him in there because it means I can spend my draft picks fixing my defense and making us even better. I don't have to spend it on a quarterback. I could trade back and get some more. There's a lot of intangibles in play here. I couldn't give you a clear answer now, even if he played well. If I definitely do it.
I respect that. 9 Drinks jumped in at the last minute. I'm gonna give him a minute to talk his talk, and then we'll get on to the final thoughts. 9 Drinks, welcome to the show. What you got for us?
Hey, Luke, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. What I see you finally jumped in here. Maybe the 9 Drinks really probably kicked in and got you going, so I'm happy. But what do you have for the people?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and to Rumble. You're like the only 2 people that like my Father's Day gift.
Hey,
what
can I say?
It's
what
awesome.
Can I say? Shout out to you, sir. Let me ask you a question, 9 Drinks. Before we jump into our final thoughts, I want to ask you this question. What is your prediction for the Lions record this year? Like, what do you think is going to happen, and what are your expectations?
I'm firm on 10-7.
Okay, I'm listening. Don't sound delusional to me.
8 is our floor, I believe. 100%.
Okay. My man, Bobo Lane says at 9 Drinks, shout out. You know what I'm saying? Want to give you some love. Lions only to win 5 games with Goff. And then we got my man Joseph, who says, I really love Lions football talk. Thank you to all the content creators and those of us who interact in the chat. Yes, please, salute to you. Again, anytime I put that link up there, that's for y'all to jump in and talk with me. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, I appreciate you for coming in, man. We finna get up out of here because I got to go play with the kids. I actually hear him down there. I don't know. I'm going to tell y'all something, man. This is the worst thing that could ever happen to any parent, okay? If you're not a parent, or you are a parent, you might know this one more well than I do because my kid is starting to get into it. The worst thing that can happen is for your kid to beat you in the game and he know you can't beat him. I don't know who came up with the controllers to this damn Smash Brothers game, but the hell with you, okay? Whoever came up with this idea to set these controllers this way, you clearly was not thinking. This little boy beats my butt so much in Smash Brothers that I can ask him to play a game that I know I can win, like Mario Kart or something like that, and he will refuse to play that game until we play Smash Brothers at least 5 times. So he can then talk trash to me and do all these little weird dances that you see in the end zone with the looking glasses and stuff. To you, producer of Smash Brothers, to you, sir, F you, okay? Thank you. It's very tragic. But 9 Drinks, thanks for coming through and showing some love, man. Hopefully, I can catch up with you tomorrow. JT, don't laugh at that. This is really tragic. I'm mad as hell because I know he's gonna want to play that game, and I know I'm going to take these L's, and I'm not trying to hear that trash talk. It's nothing worse than having a kid talk trash to you, and half the time you can't say nothing back because it's your kid. But in your spirit, you want to say all kind of mean things. Yes, sir.
Hey, when he comes up and gives you the Mickey strut, then you've got to start getting worried.
Listen. I don't know where he got this from, right? So he just got out of kindergarten, right? So the last time he beat me, he's playing with Donkey Kong, and I couldn't do diddly squat. He beat me handily, right? And he starts walking around. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm Conor McGregor." I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Where did you get this from?"
Oh, he's kind of
strut. Yeah, he's strutting. Man. I said, "This is some bull." 9 Drinks. 9 Drinks. Thank you for coming through, sir. Yes, sir.
Once your son turns 16, you won't be able to beat him on any of the games. I don't even like playing video games anymore because I can't beat him on anything.
Listen. What little do he know is my ass is going to begin my own regimen of practice. I'm going to figure out these damn buttons. You can understand that. Believe it. And I'm going to get. Listen. I'm gonna do the most father thing you can do. beat them one time and never play them again. That's just do it. Just do it. But thank you for coming through, Nine Drinks. I appreciate you for the support and the love, man. You stay up, all right?
Thanks for having me, buddy.
No problem. Yes, sir. My man's Lions Rumble. I appreciate you coming through, hollering with the people. Can you please give the final thoughts to the people?
Oh, man. As always, thank you, Luke, for this platform. Thank you, Anthony, man. I enjoy chopping it up with you guys, man. There's no better way to get me riled and hyped for the season than listening to you two talk. So much respect to you two. And my final thoughts are, man, let's just, hope and pray for no injuries. Hope and pray for no outside interference. We're going to be under the microscope with Hard Knocks coming. So hopefully there's no internal drama or anything that exposes us to the upcoming season. And again, I look forward to talking to you guys some more about this. And let's just see what these position battles incur, and hopefully we can have a prediction a couple weeks from now once we start seeing what this 53-man roster looks like. Hopefully we can kind of get an idea of who and what is going to be those X factors at those various positions, man. So again, love you guys, love the chat. Thank you guys, man. It's been
100%.
fun.
100%. And if you are wondering why he doesn't have on a full shirt, that man lives in Arizona. He deserves to be naked at this damn point. I'm pretty sure it's got to be 100.
Oh yeah, Las Vegas. Yes, 105 right now.
The devil's a liar. Okay.
105. we had a heat wave last week and it was 93 and I felt like I was going to die.
Man,
that's a heat wave.
Yeah, Michigan had 96 and I was like, nope. I literally put all kind of water on this. Not a game. My man Anthony from Royal Alliance UK, please, first of all, thank you for coming through, having fun with me. I know I kind of got on a little bit late, but hey, I was trying to get through here faster. But give the people your final shame Lions Rumble didn't partake. Give the people your final thoughts, Anthony.
Well, like Lions Rumble said to you, thank you, Luke, for letting me come on this platform with you. I absolutely love this, chatting with you and the chat here. It is 2:45 in the morning here. It's 2:45. I can actually see the sun starting to partially rise again on tomorrow. That's how late it is. And you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world, because that's how much I love coming on and talking to you all.
Oh man,
so,
respect.
Thank you for that. And I'm just saying, I'm just so hyped for this season. I know that we do it to ourselves every year and we say this is going to be a year that's different, but last year showed that we're going in the right direction. This team is making strides. We've had a good off season. Obviously there's a lot to be done yet, but we're heading in the right direction. I'm just waiting for day one. My desire to see Jalen Hurts speared, a Goldberg speared by Aiden Hutchinson on day one of next year is getting through the roof, and we are still like 70 days away here. So God knows what it's going to be like when the season comes around. But let's enjoy it. There's a little bit of time left before the season starts. Let's just start to get psyched for it now and let's enjoy it. We're going in the right direction, and I'm just really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to going through it with you all here. We deserve some good times here. So yeah. Shout out to all of you. Absolutely love it. So let's do this.
Yeah. Y'all know me, good people. Thank y'all for coming through. If you have not hit that like button, please do so. Also, check out Man Hour, because this is what it's presented by. So we are kind of covered on every freaking thing that I can think of. I got to go through and make sure I get my list down packed so I can make sure I do it appropriately. And it's a few little changes coming by the season start. So y'all will see that as I get closer to it. I'm working on it now. But I never end the show unless I end a show on a positive note. Again, I never end a show unless I end it on a positive note. Today's positive quote comes from the internet because it did not tell me who the author was. It says, never discuss cheese with rats, talk bread with birds, or make moves with snakes. I'm going to tell you why this is some deep stuff. I think some of y'all are spending too much time with the wrong people in your circle. Let me give it to you one more time. Never discuss cheese with rats, talk bread with birds, or make moves with snakes. Your inner circle needs to be protected like the breath you take. I guarantee you right now that there's somebody who can't stand for it, but need to find a way to come in and disrupt your peace. They're sitting right next to you smiling as you struggle, and they offer you generic words of, oh, that's crazy. Oh man, I'm sorry. Knowing that on the inside they are as excited as they come. I ask you to be aware of your surroundings, people, because there's some people who are afraid and jealous and envious of your success and wish to see it fall at every point that they can. You need to become more aware of your circle. Those people who you call friends, they smile in your face with knives prepared to stab you in the back in case you didn't see the Game of Thrones scene. It will happen. They will walk up slowly, insert it, and take away everything you have. There's nothing worse than having someone with nothing to lose help you lose everything. People, get rid of the rats, get rid of the birds that want to talk about the bread, and the snakes. Oh my God, please, by Almighty, set them free. Get them away from you. Redirect your energy into yourself. Recreate a new circle and make sure that those people around you are around you for a reason. They are around you to make you better. They are around you to improve the essence of your life. And if you find those people, hold on to them. Do not let them go. Take that loyalty and that love and cherish it until you're called home. And with that, you will find the greatest piece of happiness in this thing called life. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And as always, I end every show this way. Don't be no chump. Please do your research. We are out.